So the CMDB, Change and Configuration Management Database, is the idea of having what they call a single point of truth. And this is the place where all planned changes are for the environment and IT. And usually there are processes for proposing changes, approving changes, deploying changes, and monitoring an environment as well. And this is part of the ITSM, IT Service Management process. And there are many folks in enterprises who are responsible for carrying out these processes using a lot of well-known tools to do that. Unfortunately, two things happen that make this less effective than it might be. One, there's generally a lot of energy in the organization of everything needs to go into the CMDB. Now that creates a problem because it's a bottleneck. One, you have to make sure the format of that data is correct. Two, it makes this data storage very bulky and access of the data slow. And it isn't always clear that that's completely necessary. The second aspect is it's more of a forward-looking approach in that the changes that are proposed and approved going through a change advisory board, a CAB, and other processes are often what we want to change. The actual follow-up tools that verify that all these changes have in fact occurred is generally considerably weaker in that regard. So we have a good idea from the CMDB of what we plan to change, but we don't have a really good detailed understanding in that approach of what actually changed. Did it change successfully? Was it changed completely? And what the impact of those changes are. So if you add to that, in today's world, changes don't come from a single point. And a lot of the ideas around IDLE and CMDB, we're assuming like a mission control center where changes come out of. But in the world today of containers, microservices, Kubernetes, and all of this, changes can be happening from many different directions. And with an emphasis on being agile, they're coming fast as well. So it's possible to even have conflicting changes. Now, much of the change knowledge in the CMDB is around configuration, but DevOps is pushing changes out at the code level. And there could be conflicts between these as well. So what's necessary is to have an overriding process of monitoring change from all directions and understanding what actually changed versus what we thought changed or was planned, or what's incomplete or failed, et cetera. Reconciling that together so that we have a really good understanding at the configuration and at the code level of what's really changed in our environment. So when we have a decision support process, like do we deploy this new release, we really are not making tenuous assumptions. We understand what we're doing. So if you add that capability to the CMDB, then you have a much more rigorous approach to ensuring availability.